Hey everyone, welcome to the host judging the hidden. I messed it up immediately. Host judging the hidden side of hosting. This is a panel that's kind of a mix for host judges, want to be host judges, and hosts that just want to learn a little more about the process that goes into how they're picked and how they're chosen and how they get selected to be a host for GDQ. So. I am Greggles. I am a host judge. I've host judged for probably, 2 years now or so? So, to my right.
Yeah, I'm Savage Octagon. I'm one of the host coordinators. So I'm backstage supporting the hosts as they raise a ton of money for Doctors Without Borders.
And I am Phoenixcaptain. I'm a 7-time host judge.
Did you say 7?
7,
Wow.
yeah.
There you go.
Wow.
I think this is my 4th. That would make sense.
Yeah.
So, yeah, how many in the audience have been a host before for GDQ? Just a host. Not a mainline, but still a host. That's awesome. How many have been a host judge? Awesome. How many, has anyone ever wanted to be a host for GDQ? There we go. Okay.
Cool.
And does anyone here not know what we're talking about at all? Does anyone not know what host judging is? All of you know? That's great.
All right, great.
Awesome. All right. So we're going to start by saying, what is host judging? I know all of you in the audience didn't raise your hand for what is host judging, but we're going to go through it anyway just to really drive it home. So, Sav, if you want to kind of explain the host judging process?
Yeah, absolutely. We're going to talk about why I just laughed when I said that. So the host judging process goes through a few phases. One is that we pass all the auditions to all of the host judges, and they listen to them and assign them scores based on a rubric. And what they're doing is based on their rubric, we look at all the judges, ranking all the hosts, and then we narrow them down into a group that goes to a smaller group of host judges called the committee. And that was 5 people last time, me, Jay, JPEG, the other host coordinator, and 3 other volunteers. And then we get together, we have about an 8 to 10 hour meeting where we hammer it out after we've listened to everyone that made that cut really, really closely over the span of about a week. And then, we have that meeting and we select our cast. And we have to take a lunch break, we have to take a stretch break, we have to take we just fought about somebody break, and it's very stimulating and exciting. And then when we come out the other side, we've got our cast of hosts who you are hearing over the marathon. Has everyone heard someone that they were excited about so far? Awesome.
Yeah.
Let me know. I'd love to know.
And let them know. The hosts love to hear
Yeah.
when they've done a great job, and they've all been doing so well this event.
Mm-hmm.
On average, how long would you say the committee meeting lasts?
Yeah, I would say the shortest it's ever taken in my experience is 8 hours.
8 hours.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a long time.
The
longest-
shortest is 8 hours.
The shortest 8 hours. Yeah, there was a 12-hour one time.
Ooh.
Yeah. A couple people dropped out along the way, and then some of us were still fighting. And
Yeah, it's not an easy process
No.
picking who's going to be on GDQ, and because there's a lot of very good, fantastic auditions, fantastic hosts, so it's just so hard to choose and narrow down.
Yeah, and on average, we have 80 to 110 auditions each event. So that's a lot of folks. That's a lot of folks to give time and consideration to. But by the time a host is selected, they could have had as many as 30 hours of listening and judging on them already. So that's between all the judges, that's between committee, and that's between Jay and me, and now Happy by 3, listening to people just on the side as well.
Yeah. It's a really intricate process. It's very, very cool to be a part of. But let's talk a little bit, speaking of that, let's talk a little bit about the process. What is host judging? We've talked about it now, but what is it that host judges consider when listening to a host? There's 5 main categories that each host is would you say graded is a good word? Graded on? Those would be comprehension, judgment, engagement, flow, and performance. These are all varying levels of objectivity versus subjectivity. With comprehension being completely objective, it's very hard set rules, whereas performance is almost completely subjective. It's very up to the host judge what they think of a performance by the host. And Sav, if you would like to go into a little bit more detail about each one, please.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh my God.
Okay, now I'm keeping track now.
Yeah, you're gonna keep track.
We're up to 2.
Holy moly, we're up to 2. Okay. Phoenixcaptain is
I can
gonna.
keep count. I can.
Phoenixcaptain is gonna take it away and tell me about that later. So each of the categories really gets at something that we care that a host has, both for their ability to be a team player and their ability to rock the mic. The first one is comprehension. We, the hosts, we need to be not just engaging, but we need to be humble servants of the team and of the broadcast, and that means hosts need to follow directions really well. So we give them lots of instructions during the audition, we give them plenty to read before the audition, and their attention to that is really important. Are they communicating the right segments? Are they reading things correctly? Are they looking at the words of the donors and using the words that the donors used and making sure monetary amounts, and it's completely objective there. You know, the host judges are listening really carefully to make sure that that host auditioner is doing what they're supposed to do. The next one is judgment. We're kind of going by most objective to least
Yeah, that was the
most
plan.
subjective.
Yes.
Yeah. The next one is judgment. Is the host making good decisions about what donations to read? We give the hosts in their audition a wide span of donations. Some of them launch right into a good thought about the charity or prizes or how great the runner is at that moment. And some of them are quite bad. Like, we throw in political ones. We throw in ones that are obviously mean to the runner. And if a host reads those, we're thinking to ourselves, well, what are they going to do in the broadcast if they get anything that's slightly iffy? So we need to make sure that they're making those good choices. Engagement is all about encouraging the audience to participate. We've all heard a host who grabs donations from people. They're almost compelling you to donate and start clicking on gdq.gg/donate, right?
Yeah.
Exactly. And so your reasons for donating may be all kinds of reasons. You may hear something about the charity and say, I want to help that. You may hear something about a prize and say, ooh, I would like to try to win that. You could want to hear about an incentive that's going to add more time to GDQ. So how good is the host at pulling those donations out of you and driving you to donate? Then we have flow. How's your pacing, right? Are there big blocks of time that are empty in what you're saying? Because that's going to start to make the audience a little bit nervous. Yeah.
Did the stream pause? Is it
Did
buffering?
the stream pause? Like, is everything okay? Things like saying words like I did just now. How often is that happening? Also, are they jumping on the transitions between things? For example,
Yeah.
well, you'll get to yours in a second, but when a host is there at the desk, there is a light that comes on when the next run is ready. And we have a similar thing in our audition. And if the auditioner doesn't recognize that light, and it's also a sound in the audition, and they go on for another minute, that represents something in the broadcast environment that would be quite bad. Our producer has said, hey, the run is ready, and the host does not care. They just want to keep on saying what they want to say. We want to worry about that. But what was that about transitions, Phoenixcaptain?
So anytime the runner throws to the host, or you're going between one donation and another, you can get a flow going just off of ad-libbing to the, like, what was said during the donation. Did they mention a prize? You could talk about that prize to keep things going while you get that next donation ready. One thing that will frequently occur is people will not mix up their transitions at all and say the exact same thing every time. The big pet peeve of mine is absolutely.
You are going to hear this now every time
Every
you're
time.
listening to GDQ. You will hear the host when thrown to. Absolutely.
Absolutely.
It's earwormed in now.
And the reverse of that also is they'll read a donation like, oh, this run is so good. Absolutely. And there's like, when you keep repeating the same one, now someone isn't listening to what you're saying. They're listening for the next time you say what you have now said 17 times. and your flow has now been completely ruined because you've also now disengaged them because they're not focusing on what's happening anymore.
And then finally, the most actually entirely subjective one is performance. How do you want to hang out with this person for a while, or do you want to mute the stream while they're talking, right? Hopefully you don't hear anyone like that, but yeah, are they exciting? We love GDQ because if you think about the whole concept of the couch, right? One thing that we love is, at its core, these are just people sitting around a basement playing video games together and doing a cool thing. And if the host is with that vibe, then that's what you want to stick around with and listen to all day. And so you, as your own host judge, have preferences and thoughts about what makes a host good and who is compelling to you and why.
Yeah, I definitely prefer kind of a middle ground between like super hyped, screaming, or not screaming, but like really energetic. Screaming, I mean, sometimes screaming. Energetic, like
Shoutcast.
Let's go, shoutcast. Yes.
Yeah.
Let's go, like 24 the whole time that they're up there. But then at the same time, I'm also not a big fan of the super low energy, like the kind of 3 a.m. ones you'd hear that it's like nice and calming, but I'm sitting on a couch listening to this, and now they're talking like this, and I'm slowly starting to realize I'm falling asleep. And
What are you talking about?
Yeah.
so, but it's
the
all
best.
personal opinion, and that's just so I like to find someone who's kind of a little middle of the road, but has the ability to both go up to that super hype moment. If you get like, let's say we get a big donation from somebody, like a 5-figure donation, that needs to have energy brought to it. But then also, like if it's kind of a slower, more calm moment of a run, like let's say it's just Stardew Valley was pretty good, where it's, well, I mean, this was a bad example because this Stardew Valley was actually chaos and hype, but but a normal Stardew Valley run would be a lot of like cozy. Yeah, exactly. It's a cozy game, so you don't want like, all right, I'm gonna do like this nice farming. We have like $600 from so and so like coming in.
I'm telling you, brother.
Yeah, so you want a little bit more chill. I like to have a mix. I like to find a host with a mix of different energy levels, but kind of settles in the middle when they're not needing to do either end of the spectrum. And Phoenix, I'm sure you're different entirely.
Yeah, there's so many different flavors of host that, like the cozy, the very excited. And one of the big things, like you said, is you have your preference. And then every host judge has their own different preference. And that's why we have a collection of people listening to each audition. So it's not just one person's opinion, because you might like the super hyper the whole time. You might like something that is just very chill, very calm, not quite NPR, but like, and yeah, we want to make sure that one person's voice is not the only voice.
Yeah, it's very important that we have a range of different preferences for host judge, because if we had everyone thinking that we want hype hosts all the time, GDQ will have nothing but hype hosts, and sometimes that just doesn't fit the run or the whatever's happening at GDQ around it. So having all the different perspectives from different judges really does help with selecting a wide variety of casting for host.
Yeah, when we schedule the hosts for and pick the particular games for them, we go back to their auditions and we listen to what kind of voice they have. And, you know, if I'm going to be really sly and slow, I'm not going to go on Halo, right? I am just not going to go on Halo. And, you know.
Yeah, exactly.
It's just, nope. I also thought that I was a really hype host. Apparently I am not. I'm just like not actually capable of hype. And then as the judges go along, every category gets a score. They have exceeds expectations. Did they go and be above and beyond what you thought a host would do? Did they meet expectations? Hey, okay, this is what I think would be fine on the mic, and there's, you know, it's not perfect, but it's really solid. And those two are pretty close together, actually. And then below that, there's they missed the boat here. So those are the 3 rankings you can give all those categories.
And just to confirm, if someone hits a does not meet expectations, that does not necessarily mean they are not going to be selected as host.
That's correct.
Yeah, that just means that this one thing they did not quite do up to the standard that we need, but there's room for improvement. We can, before every event, this is done months before a GDQ. All the host judging is done a good deal before. So
Yeah,
there
almost
is
2 whole
time.
months.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So there is time for have you and your team to help potential hosts get up to speed before an event starts. And so what may be a does not meet expectations in an audition could be easily raised to meets expectations or exceeds expectations by the time the actual event comes around. So, but that goes to say all of these 5 categories and all of their scores do all lead to an overall score. And this overall score is your last chance as a host judge to kind of get in your opinions on the audition. Do you think they did a good job? If so, what did you like? What did you think they could improve on? What did you think they I'm blanking on anything else, but Seth, why don't you go ahead?
Right. So there are 4 in total. You can rank in an audition as a standout. You say, "Whoa, you need to put this person on the mic immediately. I will fight in the Coliseum for them. They are one of the best that I've heard." Recommended is, "Hey, this person is good. I can imagine hearing them on the mic. They might need something that needs polishing, but if you put them on the mic tomorrow, they'd probably do a good job." Then there's unsure, and there's a bunch of different reasons why you could give it unsure. You could say, "I think there was some good stuff about it. It wasn't my vibe, but it might be other people's." And another one is, "There was some good stuff, there was some not so good stuff, but I don't know what you as a group of coordinators would find coachable. So I heard some mistakes, and it's up to you all to decide whether you think these mistakes are fine or they would not be fixable in the time." And then also, I think it's does not recommend. I forgot. Do not recommend.
Probably, yeah.
And essentially that means the person's not ready at this time. It doesn't mean not ever. It means not right now. And so we're going to talk about that a little bit, but it is just, hey, with the time that we got, we're not there yet, and we're a little too far away to pick them this time around. But that being said, every host that we pick has a variety of final scores. So sometimes every time we pick hosts that do have unsures, and every so often we pick hosts that have does not meet. Each time, based on personal preference, there are hosts that are, most people say, "Oh my gosh, they're fantastic," and then one person hates every single thing that person does. Maybe they woke up on the wrong side of the bed, I don't know. So just because you get a does not meet or an unsure does not mean that an audition is not going to make it. That's why we have like 14 judges looking at everybody.
Yeah, and one of the things I always like to say is when you're giving someone a do not recommend, like the slide sets here, you are not saying that this sucked eggs. You're saying this just wasn't quite ready yet. And I know a lot of people sometimes are like, I feel so bad giving it a do not recommend. Like, you don't recommend it. So that is the correct thing to be giving it.
And the host, if they request it, will get feedback from the host judges. They can use, even if they do not recommend this event, they will get what they could do to improve, and if they would like to, they can use those recommendations. Please try again in a future event. And you've seen hosts that were not recommended, right? That have come back, tried again, taken the advice to heart that they were given from the host judges, and knocked it out of the park.
Yeah, there have been 1 or 2 people that, I think this is my 5th event, and there have been a couple people that they tried, and their 3rd time they made it, and their 1st time they were not close.
Yeah.
And so they really took their feedback to heart, and so that's something we really rely on the judges for, to give us that good feedback.
Yeah, and that's also one of those things where, like, watching the marathon, you're like, oh, hey, I remember having this one, and they said absolutely a lot as their transition. And then when you're watching them,
Well,
perfect flow the whole way through. They locked in.
even fantastic people say absolutely, you know.
Absolutely, they do. So we talked about the host process. We've talked about what it takes to go from getting your audition to getting it to the committee. But that's just the base level. What does it take to separate a host judge who has done their job versus going above and beyond and doing like such a fantastic job that we want them to keep coming back and being a host judge? Like, please. And there's a lot of different factors that goes into what makes a good host judge. And Phoenix, I know you wanted to talk very passionately about the first one, so why don't you take it away?
So every once in a while, like I just said, you'll hear, oh, that host was in my pool, or you'll be just talking to someone at the event and like, I heard their voice. You don't want to just go up and like, wow, you completely biffed that audition. Or the reverse, like, I thought you should have gotten in. Oh, come on, like they got it wrong. Like, so one of the things you need to be sure you're aware of is just like, don't just advertise it to the world of like, yeah, you screwed up.
Yeah, confidentiality, very good.
Yeah, because they will get your feedback, just not from you directly.
Yeah.
So it is good to like. Also, I mean, going before when you're in the active host judging process, you are not allowed to mention that you are a host judge.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that it is lips sealed, like no one can know, because and it's for purposes of not. What's the word?
No one
Now,
influencing.
influencing. Thank you. That's the word. Yep. Not influencing your score. We don't want someone who's trying out to be a host to find out that they know someone who's a host judge and coming up to be like, so you're going to pick me, right? And then that just adds unnecessary pressure because we need fair, impartial judging. And so just having confidentiality about it really does make things smoother and simpler for everybody. And then, yeah, the next spot is the fair but critical. You're going to have to be critical in a host judge role. Like, you can't just say everyone did a good job and everyone should be a host. There's going to be things that just don't meet what we're looking for, and you have to be able to acknowledge that and say, this is just quite not where we need it to be at this moment. You're not telling the person directly, so it's makes it a little bit easier, but it's still not great to be critical to people. Like, it's not fun to say, not necessarily mean things, but critical things to people. But we need fairness. We can't say everyone was good. One thing we're going to go back and say a few times probably in this panel is, if everyone's a standout, nobody is a standout. So we just need that ability to be able to say something critical about someone. It's okay. It's okay to be critical. And then we need a good attention to detail. Sav, would you like to go more into detail?
Absolutely.
We're up to 4.
4? Was that 4? Okay, cool.
I think
Fine.
I was 3.
You were 3.
4.
Okay,
Yeah.
so it's not just me. Right. We've got to be thorough. We've got to pay attention to detail. For example, there's always a portion of the audition where the auditioner is reading ad copy, for example, because we have sponsors that send us in writing that we have to read to advertise their brand. And if you are ad-libbing all over that read, or you are messing up that read all the time, or if you're exchanging lots of words, then the sponsors listening are going to be like, what? That's not what we said. That's not representing our product, right? So you've got to make sure that you can sustain your focus on those details. And we'll be looking, Jay and I and Happy will be looking at your ratings. And it's very interesting if all the judges catch a mistake and then you're the one judge that didn't catch the mistake. Like, ma'am, that audition had an F-bomb in it. How did you not notice that, right? Like, that doesn't happen very often. But yeah, but it's really important that you are catching those details. And vibes are important, but you also need to make sure that you are listening for very specific things.
One thing that you're going to get a lot of in auditions, not a lot, but it will pop up in auditions that you're looking for, is the word guys.
Oh, yeah.
It's one of the 5, it's engagement, I believe, is...
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah, engagement is... one of the things is inclusive language. So saying guys, not very inclusive, but it's usually so common that you don't really listen for, you don't catch it. So you'll hear like hey guys, welcome back to SGDQ, and if you're not paying attention to the detail, that just sounds like a normal, fine, welcome back. but it's in there, and it's just so split second that you have to be able to catch something like that. And you do get better as you listen to more auditions, which is another reason it's recommended, which we'll get into with timing, if you have time, to go back and listen to auditions you started with, because you're still getting into the flow of things. So when you go back and listen, you'll be like, oh, I missed that. I totally missed this thing. They dropped an F-bomb apparently, and I was just like, la, 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 over here. So it is good to really listen to things multiple times. We'll talk about that a little later as well. But just, yeah, attention to detail is very important.
And then also, like how Sav mentioned with the ad copy, punctuation also matters for it. There was one of the audition waves. There was the Intertemporal Space Hotel was the game that was the game that was the ad read for it, and there was an ellipsis in the last line. So it was play it this summer, unless you already have. But if you did not pay attention to that very clear intended pause, like play it this summer unless you already have, just a kind of completely different meaning, and that was not what they intended with that blurb.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. And so another thing is able to provide clear, actionable feedback. This kind of ties into the fair but critical, but we also, the host committee really needs to take a host judge's feedback into account. The committee is looking for what you liked, what you didn't like as a host judge. It helps to have as detailed notes as you can so that everything can be considered. And this especially goes for a lot more of the subjective ones, like, well, not flow, but also performance, where if you just said, I didn't like this performance.
Why?
Yeah.
Exactly. Why was
Not helpful.
yeah. So, but if you said I didn't like this performance, it's just a little bit too hype for me, or they were just a little bit too sleepy for me. Even just that little bit of information helped, and yeah, it just goes a long way to have very detailed notes, as much as you were willing to put in there, just to really help the committee in choosing the selection. If everyone has their own notes, we can compare notes and see what everyone says that this person had such a great voice on mic. That means if everyone said it, it's probably pretty accurate. So it's good to have just as clear notes as you can.
Yeah, and that also really ties into the next one that we have on our slide here with the dedicated to helping others improve. If you're giving them not just like, hey, I didn't really like this, why didn't you? Well, they start to sound bored, so if they put a little bit more energy into that donation read, it would have made it sound like they were the voice of the donator talking about, I love this run coming up, or if it was just read like, I love this run coming up. Yeah.
That's a choice. That is definitely a choice. One thing that's key too is your ability to manage your time. Of all of the volunteer roles, host judging is actually the most time that you could spend. I have some host judges here in the audience. I would say that there are some host judges that take 25 hours on all of their folks to listen to. And I think probably the minimum that I heard was 10 hours, which is...
That's speedy.
That's very
Real
speedy.
speedy.
I'm a little concerned about that, but that's still more hours than you might get as a volunteer in another department, right? But there's a moment a week before the deadline where I peep on everyone's spreadsheets that they have. And then if I see that they're not very far along, then I send them a nice little nudge, because if you sat down 2 days before the deadline, there is no way that you would be able to give everyone a fair shake. It just would not work out. So you as a person have to manage your time very well. And another one is,
separating the performer from the performance. This is a big one because there are a lot of hosts that have been hosting for GDQ for a long time. You've been listening to them for years at this point. Their voice is so recognizable that you could just, as soon as you hear the audition begin, you're like, oh, I know this person. That's so-and-so.
That's Spike.
Spike is a good example. Yeah, everyone knows what Spike sounds like. So if you would just all of a sudden say, oh, okay, it's Spike. Spike does a great job. I know Spike can do a hosting because I've seen Spike do so many other things that are front-facing towards the audience. He'll do great. I'm just going to give him standouts for everything. That's not fair to everybody.
And it might not be true.
It may not be true. Yeah, whoever the host that you recognize, they could have had a bad audition. They could have done they could have dropped an F-bomb in somewhere in there, and it's unfair to everybody because giving it to a well-known host just out the gate because we know that person can do the hosting. If they had a bad audition, that means that someone who has never hosted before, who has a fantastic audition, may get skipped because we're just filling up all the available slots with people that have done it before. And it's not fair. It's not great for people who thought they did fantastic to find out you did great. We just didn't have enough spots. And
that always happens.
It happens a lot, and it will happen, but it's at least fair if it's not. We didn't have enough spots because we just know these people that have hosted before they're going to get in regardless. So no host ever is just let in. Everyone has to audition.
You have to earn it.
Yeah, no matter if it's someone who's done it for 10 years versus someone who's done it once. Everyone has to audition. I have an example
love this. For context, we do give everyone a code name. Every auditioner gets a code name.
So you don't know who your hosts are.
Yes.
Yeah, and so I forget which code name it was, if it was vegetables or countries or what, but I had a code name that I heard immediately, and I said, I recognize this voice. I know who this is. I can be impartial, because even if you do recognize someone, you have to be able to give them a fair judgment. I said, I can be impartial. I'm not like super friends with them, but I do know them, and I know how they act. I can get through this without it being a problem. I made a note to the staff that I know who this person is. Went through, did their audition. They got selected to be a host, which means eventually I got to learn who the alias actually was. I was completely wrong. It was not the person I thought it was.
That person didn't even audition.
Yeah.
And Greggles puts in big words on his spreadsheet.
It's so-and-so.
It's so-and-so, and they're a great host, but I'm going to be unbiased. And I was like,
yeah. So
nope.
That just goes to show you can be wrong. You might think it's Spike. Apparently, Spike has a voice double somewhere that wants to audition for GDQ. And
lots of people do have voice doubles, weirdly enough, and energy doubles. It's very cool to hear.
Yeah, exactly. And so you could be wrong, and you could be giving someone standouts that based on false information, and it's just not good to do. Phoenix, you had another thing we kind of used the Spike example you wanted to give. Yeah, so.
Yeah, the perfect example of like everyone knows Spike's voice. So if it comes in like, okay, this is Spike. No, it's not. This is Aardvark, or whatever their code name is for this round. And you just look at that and then take everything else. How did they do?
Yeah. But then the last thing is just the love of GDQ. And Sav, I know you wanted to talk about this one. So
Yeah. I mean, a lot of people who are host judges, some of them can come to the event, but some of them can't. And some of them have hours and hours and hours of logged listening to the broadcast, watching the runs and loving the relationship between the runners and the couch and the host and all that, and being really nerdy about it, right? And that's so great. If you know the wide variety of runs and types of energy that can go into the broadcast and be successful, that's really awesome. Because we're not just looking for 30 of the same person to have the same energy level all the time. So if you are someone who appreciates the nuances of how different voices can amplify different ideas in the runs and catch different energy, then that's going to make you a great host judge.
Yeah, this really is my favorite volunteer role. I always say that.
You love it.
It's fun.
I always make the comment, host judge brain never shuts off. Once you start doing it for a few rotations especially, you'll start noticing when you're watching, like, oh, that was a perfect transition. Like, oh, I'm doing it right now.
That person on that TV show said guys 20 times in one scene, and you like,
ooh.
That's broadcasting announcer. They do not recommend.
No, bad for engagement. Yeah.
So now everyone should have a fair understanding of the host judging process, what we look for in host judges. Would you all like to try an example of being host judges right now?
Yeah, let's go.
So we
Absolutely.
So we have some examples.
Emotional damage.
We have some examples for you. If you'd like to try to play along, if you have your phone with a notes app, or if someone for some reason decided to bring a pen and paper, to the panel.
There he goes.
We'd love to have you take notes. We're going to play two example auditions for you. And we'd love just to hear your feedback at the end of each one.
Would just like to say that these were recorded specifically for this panel. They
Yes.
are not drawn from auditioners.
It's me.
So
You're going to hear me. You can be mean. It's okay. I can take it. I have thick skin. So
you
if
can
you
be critical.
critical, you can
Fair,
be, yes.
but critical.
Fair, but critical.
I can take it. So we'll play the first example. We'll ask you what you noticed, what your feedback was, and we'll talk about everything that you have heard in this example, and then we'll do the same thing with the second one. We'll see how it goes. Also, these two have never heard either of these auditions, so
We read some of the words that Greggles
yes,
was
you read.
going to
I
use,
gave you
but I
kind of
don't
like
remember
the
them.
general outline of what I'm going to do, but
Yeah.
you don't know
Yeah.
at all what you're hearing. So they're going to take notes as well, and we're going to all just give feedback at the end. So here's the first one.
Hey guys, welcome back to Summer Games Done Quick 2026.
Can we hear
where
that?
we are playing video games as fast as we
Yeah.
Okay.
Is there any way to turn up the audio for it a little bit? You did? Okay, let's try again.
Hey guys, welcome back to Summer Games Done Quick 2026, where we are playing video games as fast as we can for money. I'm your host, Greggles, and before we get you to the next run, we have to go to an interview with, Bobby Berm and our social media team. So, go ahead, Bobby. All right, we're back from that interview, and before the run starts, let's read a few donations. We have a $69 donation from All Grown Up that says, if Hades was so good, how come they didn't make Hades 2? Wait, hang on. That's a good joke. I get that. We also have a $45 donation from Just One More Thing that says, heard of these things called video games? Good stuff. We also have a $15 donation from Hint of Vanilla that says, stay hydrated, chat. We also have a $10 donation from Senor Toquino that says, hi GDQ, smiley face. Okay, I'm being told that our next run's ready, and while I'm not much of a fan of roguelikes, I have heard that our next game, Hades, is one of the better ones. So, let's go see BD play some Hades.
So while we are making our way to the first boss, the Furies, host, if you have anything you'd like to share, now is a wonderful time.
Absolutely. We just got a $10,000 donation. Thank you to the Yee for that, and that means we get even more Hades because there was an incentive, it looks like, to fight Charon. If we'd raised enough money, and we did. So isn't that exciting, chat? I know I'm pretty excited for that. I didn't think we were going to get there, but it was real close, and the Yee pulled through like they always do and made sure we hit our goal. So thank you for doing that to the Yee. That is great. That was a fun run of Hades. That was a solid 8 out of 10, I'd say. Anyway, that's all the time I have for being your host. It was cool to finally make it onto a GDQ stage and host for you guys, but if you'd like to see more of me, you can find me on Twitch at twitch.tv/Greggles90 or on Instagram at Greggles90. And also, don't forget Twitter, Greggles901. So that's all for me. Thank you for watching GDQ, and yeah, I'll see you guys next time.
So first of all, I want to say I'm sorry for that, Sab.
I also want to say that I was only laughing because it's Greggles, and
Yeah.
I knew that this was over exaggerated. I don't really laugh at the auditions that I hear unless it's like very obviously trying to make me laugh. But
Yes, that what you
good
was.
job, buddy.
Thank you.
You laugh with, not at.
I'd laugh
yes,
with,
yes,
yes.
I'm laughing too, and I made it. So there's a lot, but what did we all notice? I said, well, you can do a show of hands, then just yeah.
Well, I mean, it's kind of
Yeah, let's
pick
just
one.
Pick
One.
one. Well,
well, for one, they really didn't sound like they wanted to be there.
they, for those who can't hear, they said it sounded like they didn't want to be there, and they don't really care that much about the event. And
So
Yeah.
not very engaging.
no, very,
Right.
very monotone, very boring. Very,
Did anyone catch any like specific words, not just a tone of Greggles? Yeah.
There were many
Yeah,
instances
yeah.
of guys, yes.
Right.
I took count.
How many?
I think-
You-
I only heard 2.
I
I
think
could have
there's
missed.
3.
I
I
could
think
have
there
missed
were-
one,
Yeah,
which
I
is
think
why
there's
3 or
3.
4.
Having multiple people listening to it, I was probably laughing over one of them.
Probably.
Yeah, yeah.
Anyone else? Anyone that? Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
The socials, yes. That is a big one. We didn't really touch on that, but Tav, you want?
Yeah. There are a lot of times when we get auditions that are performances, people who want to be the star, and they are shamelessly self-promoting, and that's not the kind of attitude we want. So yeah, Greggles putting all of his socials. Actually, when we were talking about this panel,
Yeah.
we tried to think of every single piece of social media that we possibly could, and Greggles found his old MySpace, and we had a good laugh over that. But yeah, so self-promotion is always a little tough.
Yes.
Yeah. What else?
Yes.
I was going to say that there was never really any time to breathe. They just kept rapid firing.
That is another one. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
The donations were just, here's a donation, here's a donation, here's a donation. And I get hosts wanting to put a lot of donations in. They're fun to read, but you have to let them breathe. That goes into flow. It's good to have a pause, just even a slight pause between the donations. So here's the donation. And also thank you. Thank the donator. Like
Yeah.
it's which I'll spoil that. That's another thing that never came up, was never said thank you, just from one donation to the next. Never acknowledged the donator, never appreciated the donation, just here's a donation, here's a donation, here's a donation. So
Yep, and that on my notes here, I do have no ad lib, just speedrun donations. Never thank the donors.
Yeah.
yes. Anybody else?
Oh.
Yes.
Okay.
There was the red amount of money.
A
Oh.
amount of money.
There is a special amount of money. One might say a nice amount of money.
Nice.
That rarely comes through. Our donations team is amazing, but every so often something can come through that's a little iffy, and you don't want to read that. Yeah.
They were very negative about the game. About the game. This is your positive opinion about the game.
Yes.
Yeah.
That was a negative about the game. So for
Fight to the nation.
There was bite, yes.
yeah.
There was no urgency, there was just
Yeah.
one monotone, and there wasn't nothing cheap. And there won't be there.
Yeah.
Yes.
Copy this.
Right.
Exactly.
Solid 8 out of 10, right?
A solid 8 out of 10.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes, in the back. Or yeah. Yes, the Yeti.
The Yeti.
The Yeti, as I said specifically. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Yeti. Yeah.
And how much was that donation amount for?
$10,000.
And legitimately, it does happen in auditions that someone is reading all their amazing donations and they read a $5 donation with the exact same amount of hype as a $5,000 donation. And while it's really important, no matter how big or small the donation is, it's really great that people are showing up. A $5,000 donation? Can you imagine? Like, if I won the lottery, I'd be doling them out every single game, right? I'd be like, yeah, let's do this. Let's make everybody feel good. But yeah, there's got to be different levels of hype.
Yeah. Anybody else? Anything else that was done? Yes. Yes. Filler language filling the air. Yeah, absolutely there was.
Yeah.
No, that
Did
wasn't.
it again.
It was part of a sentence,
That's
not
true.
the
Okay,
entirety
that's
of the
fair
sentence.
enough. But yes, there was.
There was consistency with getting the names correct.
There was consistency. Yes, it was not an accident.
Right.
And they corrected it later. Yes.
Something I noticed is that they put very little energy into setting anything up. It didn't really feel like they knew what was going on.
Right.
Correct.
When they brought in the first segment, and they don't really seem to know what you're doing.
It didn't come across very loudly. I did say it under my breath, but I said, we're going to damn it. An interview with Bobby Berm.
Yeah.
So,
Like you didn't know who Bob Burr was.
correct, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I felt that there was no segue, there was no integration of the incentive.
There was
Right.
no incentive mentioned.
Basically, they were like, well, yeah, it's there.
Yes.
There's no connection, no tissue, no enthusiasm again.
Of
Right.
course.
And they mentioned it, but they were like, oh, that's great.
Yeah. No connection. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
No incentive push, no nothing, pushing anything other than just like, we're here, we're reading donations, we're doing whatever I'm told to do at the moment.
And that's important for like the engagement too, of just like, if they don't sound like they want to be there, why would the audience want to be there?
Absolutely.
Now
That was
you
me.
go.
Yes.
The auditioner respected the timers. They didn't
Yes.
won't let a lot of them
I was saying that one's a little subtle because it's hard to see the video, but the run ready did come up, and then another donation was read
Yeah.
before going to the run. Yeah, I saw your hand up as well. I think. What was that? Sorry, one more time.
Nothing about the charity. Is that
Yep.
what you said?
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh yeah. Okay. Someone mentioned it. Yes, that was my big thing. I haven't heard yet.
That's actually, I'll just give you a secret from the big boss. That's my biggest pet peeve is when someone does not acknowledge the charity or acknowledge what the charity actually does. There's a lot of times when auditioners try to scoot by and say, this charity's so great a bunch of times, and they hope they make it through the judges because they mentioned the charity, but if we don't know why we're donating, that's my little thing. Kind of like you're absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah, and I have the exact same thing where if there isn't even like, and that donation goes to MSF, that you're mentioning, but what did they do with that money? So some kind of like enthusiasm for the charity that we are here raising money for.
You mean we're here playing video games fast for money? Doesn't. Yeah. So
That's a good ring to
These
it.
are a lot of. I think you've all said most, if not all, of the things that I put in my fake audition. Again, fake, not my real audition. Please don't judge me on that. But yeah, that's an example of an audition that would. What would you say the grade was overall for that? Do not recommend.
Yeah.
Yeah. 100%.
You're not ready yet.
Yes.
You're
now
not ready
let's
yet.
now let's say this was an audition from years ago. This person has gotten feedback. Let's hear how they do in the second audition. Hello everyone and welcome back to Summer Games Done Quick 2026, benefiting Doctors Without Borders. I'm your host and we have an amazing run of Hades Any Heat by BD coming up in just a bit. But while that run's getting set up, let's hear from my friend Bobby Berm, who's going to be doing an interview with our social media team. Bobby, take it away. Thank you so much, Bobby. What a great way to see into the minds of the meme team themselves. All right, welcome back everyone to Summer Games Done Quick 2026, where we are raising money for Doctors Without Borders, an independent international organization that provides emergency medical care to the people who need it most. MSF cares for people affected by conflict, disease outbreaks, disasters, and social exclusion in more than 70 countries by offering medical humanitarian assistance solely based on need, regardless of race, ethnicity, religion, or politics. And it's so great seeing everyone come together to raise money for such an amazing cause. And this includes people like Dire Dachshund here, who donates $31 and says, holding a watch party with my best friend, and I don't want them to leave. Please, more GDQ. We have to fight Charon. Thank you so much for the donation, Dire Dachshund. And they bring up a great point about our bonus incentive. If we're able to raise $30,000 before the end of the Hades run, BD is going to show off the Charon fight for us, chat. And I've been told that this fight's super difficult. Charon can send shockwaves at you or hit you with his oar, and either way, it sounds like it's going to hurt. I know I want to see the incentive met. Do you want to see the incentive met, chat?
Yes.
If you do, get your donations in. I know we can do it. Yes. And speaking of donations, it looks like someone else wants to see this Charon incentive met because we have a $25 donation from Hatsune Mikuwu, who says, I like Hades. I like Spyro. Coincidence that there's a Spyro Amigurumi up during a Hades run? I think not. And thank you so much for that donation, and I agree, it's definitely no coincidence. Have you seen this Spyro Amigurumi? It's so cute. It's up on the screen right now if you want to take a look. And for only $25, you too could be entered in for a chance to win not only this Amigurumi, but also the Halo Array oil painting and the Chrono Trigger acrylic pour-on canvas. And I know the prize team usually knocks it out of the park this event, but this one feels extra special, doesn't it, chat? Ooh, and without further ado, it does look like our Hades Any Heat run is ready to go, so BD, are you ready to hack and slash your way out of the underworld?
Host, if you have anything you'd like to share, now is a wonderful time.
Thank you so much, BD. Chat, we have a $10,000 donation from our friends at the Yeti.
Yay.
And they say, hi GDQ, Yeti here. We are loving this Hades run and we definitely want to see more of it. Let's get that Charon instead of met. And thank you so much for that donation, Yeti. And you are going to be getting your wish because we have met the bonus incentive.
So BD, get ready to dodge some oars because we are going to be fighting Charon. What an incredible run of Hades. Congratulations to you, BD. It was so much fun to watch. All right, Chet, this is going to be the end of my time here on the host mic, but before I go, I just want to remind you that we are all here raising money for such a great cause. Doctors Without Borders has touched so many lives, and that includes lives like One Big Upper Tooth here, who donates $50 and says, "This donation is in honor of my parents in Syria. After the earthquakes in 2023, my parents' house partially collapsed, and Doctors Without Borders treated my father for a broken leg and my mom for a concussion. Without Doctors Without Borders, I can't imagine what would have happened to them or to the rest of their community. The things they do help real people in real crises, and those effects ripple out to the entire world. Thank you, Doctors Without Borders, for the help you give. My parents might not be here without you." Thank you so much for that donation, One Big Upper Tooth. It's always so great to hear real stories from people who have been touched by such an incredible organization. All right, have a great rest of your event, chat. We have got an incredible run of Spyro 3.5 Return to the Forgotten Realms by WED coming up next, and I don't think you want to miss it. And in the meantime, I'm going to be passing the mic over to my good friend Phoenixcaptain, but I'll see you all again real soon.
Aw, you
All
really
right,
paid
so-
attention to your feedback, buddy.
So, what do we all think? Yes.
Alright. So, after years of practicing this hypothetical audition is going to hate me because I still found it
No, there's still stuff in there. It's okay.
Yeah, there's
It's
still
not
stuff in there.
perfect.
very monotone. It's kind of just reading off facts and feel very enthusiastic or like exactly what to be there.
Okay.
Feels like there's a monitor. Feels like there's a teleprompter.
Teleprompter, yes.
Or he's just kind of maybe a little wiped out by the end of the shift or something.
That's fair.
He feels very unenergetic.
A little peek behind the curtain. I was reading off of a script. You are right. If it sounds like I'm reading
Yeah.
something, it's because I was, and that
He did
that
write the
is
whole
something
thing.
that is something that is noticed, and I also noticed it when I was listening. I was like, it does sound like I'm reading, but that's good. Thank you. Yes, good to catch. Abrupt transitions. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
Yes.
purpose. Yeah.
Obviously, is good. Good segues into the bonus donations, into information and into the nation and into the incentive.
Yes.
Well, prizes. I like the photos on. I thought it was very snappy. Like, oh, we're ready. Let's go.
Yeah.
I like that. The second net, and that was really good enthusiasm. Love the charity mission to sign off, and I also like the tone in the last donation. The serious
The tone, the more serious. Yes.
very good. But I did say, quite monotone throughout.
Yeah.
I would have put that, if I was grading it, I would put it as accepted,
A recommended. Yes.
but not
Not a standout. Absolutely, yeah. And this is another great example, real quick, before we go to the next one, of two people with differing opinions on some transitions and things like that. This is why we look for multiple host judges per audition, because that's good to have feedback from someone who thinks that it was a bit more abrupt versus someone who thinks it was a more smooth transition, and that's great that people have different tastes in what they're looking for. Anybody else for yes?
One thing I noticed was, I think this was done twice. Let's go over to my friend, so-and-so.
My friend, yes.
Very, very friendly energy.
Yeah, so that feels like I'm part of this event. I'm very well integrated into this event, and it just gives that sense of excitement, comfort,
Kind of drawing the audience in, making them a part of it, making them feel like it's, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so definitely intentional. Trying to be for those who can't hear it, they said, like saying my friend Bobby Berm or my friend so-and-so leading, my friend BD, and it just makes it a little bit more inviting. Yes?
A couple of like small nitpicks because I think we don't want.
Nitpicks are fine, yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
nitpicks are fine.
One, and this might be a personal thing for you, but the hosts didn't introduce themselves with their names. And I having their hosts where like I feel like I kind of know who they are.
Yes.
We're chilling at the same time.
That was intentional. Because of auditions, you're not allowed to. This we didn't really talk about. That's fair.
Yeah.
We didn't mention this. We did say that they're anonymized. The hosts are not allowed to say their name in the audition. That's one thing that wasn't caught in the first audition because we didn't talk about it. But you're not supposed to say your name in the audition, just because that would, again, like if Spike were to say, "Hi, I'm Spike Vegeta," that immediately tells everyone, "Okay, I know who this is." Whereas not saying it in an actual event, if they were to be accepted, the host would say, "Hello, I'm Greggles. Welcome
Yeah.
to Summer Games No Quick." Yes.
But it's a really good nitpick.
Yes.
I actually, when I'm hosting, I'll say it the first 30 seconds that I'm hosting, and then I'll always forget every other time. I'm just like, oh, I'm just here. I'm just this person, like, whatever. And I always get that feedback. It's like, well, you never told anyone who you actually were. So it's important. And those nitpicks are good.
Yes.
So never apologize for a nitpick because we need them. Anyway,
Yep.
continue.
And then the other one I had was that at the end, I agreed that like leaving it on a like for a host transition there will be like a couple minutes where there's not one on the mic, so having,
Yes.
like a bit more of like a somber, contemplative, like serious one is like good. But then the thing that I had was that the host would hey, my time is up. I'm going to be going, but and then did the donation and then like did a second sign off.
The second time, yes.
A little bit like I was in a conversation with Trudeau, but
Yeah, sure,
So
absolutely.
you
I
thought
get
there
that.
was like a double goodbye that was a little bit iffy? Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I keep doing it now.
Yeah, put it in your head.
I know you did.
It's never gonna
but
go away.
yes, there was a bit of a double sign off, and it's something that you have to kind of work your way around because you are told like this is going to be the end of your shift, but we want you to do X thing. Do you do the sign up before you do it after? I did it for both in the audition, and yes, you did catch it. So,
Yeah.
anybody else? Anything else? Positive feedback, negative feedback, anything? Yes, or critical feedback?
What stood out to me was some of the donation selection felt a little iffy. Like I was very distracted by the class I'm reading, for example. Maybe some people were less far, but I just didn't quite like it.
You didn't
one?
like the
Too hot to me.
Hatsune Mikuwu, the meme name of the donation. I see. Okay, yeah. That's again also that comes down to personal preference. Some hosts or some judges would prefer the more I don't know, prefer the more meme donation names. Some people think it's a bit, especially if a lot of them come up and it's some people may think it's a bit too much.
I think there are never enough pun names, honestly. Like, never enough for me. And one interesting thing about so Greggles read a Hatsune Mikuwu, and that was kind of one where we were testing how can auditioners pronounce things on the fly. So we had auditioners pronounce that Hatsune Mikuwu, Hatsune Mikuwu woo 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 when they realized they got it wrong. Mikowo, we had a lot of things. So that we always put things in there that are tests, and some hosts like kind of know that, and they make a valiant attempt to varying degrees of success.
Any other feedback? Yes. Too specific of a description for the carry-on fight?
Sure.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. So the comment. Now, you've officially done it more times
I
than
think
I
I
have.
have.
So
I have.
feel
Yes.
all right. But yeah, so you mentioned that the information about that fight seemed a little too specific, and that makes sense. We encourage our hosts to talk to the runners ahead of time, and if there is an incentive in the run, talk about why that's interesting. So that might have been a scripted talking point that they had that maybe just was a little bit
Too scripted?
too scripted. It might have been better longer before the incentive to get people hyped up about it, not like just when it was met. Oh, we get to see this incredible technical fight where he's going to hit with the ore. Like, yeah, we're going to see it in a minute. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, it's how you sell it at,
You
an
sell it
hour
early.
beforehand.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's a... Oh, buddy,
You
let's
will
give him a
never
round of applause.
unhear absolutely
struggling now.
Struggling.
Thank you. But-
Yeah. do-
So before we move on, but what would you give that audition? Would you of the overall grades?
Show of hands.
Show of hands. Yeah. How about
do not recommend.
do not recommend? How about unsure?
Unsure. Okay.
When is it?
Unsure. How about recommended?
Recommend.
Okay, and then any standouts? I
All right. So you have just sent Greggles to committee, essentially. You have said, most of you think, hey, this guy's worth a listen, and hopefully you have given articulate feedback about why you were unsure, which you did. And so we can read that, and we're going to be listening to Greggles a little more closely, and hopefully he comes out the other side. You know? Yep.
But yeah, so those are auditions. And then the last thing we really want to talk about is just helpful techniques. Host judging is a very long process. It's a very demanding process. And these are just some things that'll help you manage the process itself of host judging. And the main one that I think all of us would like to stress the most is to pace yourself. There's a lot of time. You get multiple weeks to do all of your judging. Take that time and all of that time to get it done. You're gonna have, what would you say? How many auditions do you think an average judge would have to do?
Depending on the event, 20 to 30 per audition is typically where
Yeah, it's
we've
20
landed
this time.
lately.
Yeah.
20? You're gonna have about 20 auditions. Each audition can vary in length, probably on average about 10 to 12 minutes each. And so that's a lot of time. It's a lot of listening time. It's a lot of time to spend on each audition that you have to do. So if you waited, like Savit said earlier, until 2 days before, you're going to be just speeding through all the donations, listening one time, just trying to like write as many notes as you can in that one pass through, and you're going to miss a lot. And
One
it's
of
not. Sorry.
I said, all right, go ahead.
I say it's just not fair to the hosts, the auditioners, to have someone not care as much about, especially if they're lower down in the list, which I believe it's random or in order that they come in. But to have someone who gets to the bottom of their list of host auditions and they're just trying to get through them as quick as possible, whereas they spent 20, 30 minutes actually really giving fair critique and feedback to a host that they did first because they thought they had more time and then they realized, oh, I don't, and I have to speed through.
Yeah, one of the things I like to do is whenever I sit down to do judging, I'll only allow myself to do one or two at a time. That way each person's getting maximum energy into it also. If you're sitting there doing like 6, 7, 8 in a row, you're going to start getting tired. You're going to start repeating yourself a lot. Like, does the feedback even actually apply to this person, or are you still thinking about the audition you did 4 auditions ago and you're letting it bleed over in the next one? So with the way we have multiple weeks to do it, you don't want to wait till the last few days like was mentioned. And if you do 1 or 2 a day, you will still finish with plenty of time left.
Another thing that, Sav, I know you mentioned a lot is headspace is important. You don't want to be doing host judging if you're in a headspace where you don't feel like you're going to be giving a fair assessment. If you have been having a bad day and you don't want that to affect your host judging, you need the time available in that whole span of host judging to say, I don't want to do it today. Mm-hmm. I can leave it today. I can come back tomorrow with a more fresh, relaxed mind and give it a fair shot. And if you're waiting until the last day, if you have a bad day on the last day and you have 10 auditions to do, those are probably going to be 10 quick auditions that you're going to be in a bad mood doing, so it might reflect this in the score a little bit. Not saying it will, but it could. And it's just not fair. So pacing yourself is very important. I'd say this is probably the most important tip and technique for host judges.
I will give you a little tidbit of trivia. If anyone had to guess, what percentage of auditions do you think come to us in the last 36 hours before the deadline? 30%? Oh gosh, if it were 80, I would die. No, lower than that. It's higher than 30, lower than 80.
50?
It's like 50. Yeah, so a lot of auditions are going to come at the last minute, and sometimes auditioners are worried about auditioning, and they should probably do it early because then the judges will listen to them for a little bit longer.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the next one is listen a bunch of times and take good notes every time. I encourage, every judge has their own way of doing it, but one thing that I encourage is multiple passes for multiple things. See if you can isolate. So for example, for the comprehension one, where we're looking at how accurate are the donations, just listen to the accuracy of words. Delete the vibes, imagine that you are just reading a transcript of what they're saying and just divorce that from any other considerations, right? Do that and you'll get an objective pass, right? So you will want to listen to it more than once. I did talk to a judge one time and I said, hey, are you going to be able to do this before the deadline? And they said, yeah, I did the first one in 8 minutes. And I was like, but the audition was 12 minutes long. Like, how did you listen to it multiple times? You know, so like you can't get it done in a single pass.
Yeah. I say, Phoenix, do you want to?
The way I typically do it is I'll just do a first listen, unpaused, completely just start to finish, and take just a couple notes here and there, and then I'll go through a second time, pausing to like focus on specific things. Of I may have missed this the first time through, or I like this, I need to elaborate more on my score sheet, and that's when I will like bring my thoughts together for the first time and start putting them together. And every once in a while, you'll get to one that's like, I've scored this high, but I'm not in the overall. I don't have as high. I must be missing something. So I might like, oh, it's this section here from my notes. Let me go back and listen. Like, oh, it's because they just read this one donation, like, and they sounded really bored about it. And then I'll know why I may not have picked up on the first time, but on the second time, and even maybe the third, like, detailed pass. Oh yeah, there it is. That's why I'm not.
Yeah, and similar, a few differences. I like to kind of segment. My first listen through will be, like Savage said, with comprehension, and also a little in judgment, usually. Judgment and comprehension I will do together. And then I will do a second pass through, and that one's the one I'm more doing performance, flow, and engagement, and trying to see. And then I will usually come back, like I mentioned earlier with pacing yourself, I will give myself time to come back to the top once I've done everybody and go back and listen through just the final time, so 3 times total usually, just to make sure that I didn't miss anything, that anything that I heard in the earlier auditions that I thought were okay, and then I got down to the end and I thought, well, there's a lot of things I heard that were better, that I liked better, or I thought flowed better. Otherwise, turns out after hearing more auditions, I didn't really like that as much as I thought I did at the time, so I might grade that a little differently now. I'll look at my notes and change it. So that's usually my process. Everyone's different, but it is encouraged to at least give it multiple passes to really make sure you've caught everything, going back to the attention to detail, that you've caught everything that you can.
Yeah, a big one too, helpful techniques. Our society, a lot of times we are afraid of feedback, giving honest feedback. What is it like to accept feedback? We're nervous about it. A lot of people don't study feedback enough and respect it. But it is okay to be critical of what you're hearing, because you are not judging the person. You're not ever saying, wow, this person sounds like they're a jerk. Dang. Like, no one ever says that, right? They're saying things like, oh, I wish they would have articulated their words a little bit better so they were easy to understand. And that some people are very uncomfortable with even giving that level of, I guess one would say, negative feedback. But when you act on it, like when it's actionable, you are actually being very helpful and very kind. So it is okay to say what you don't like about it or what needs to be improved, because that's actually going to raise the bar for hosting across the thing.
While your feedback is going to be given to the host if they request it, it's not going to be your direct words that are given to the host. The host team does take the feedback and present it to the host in a way. They may reword some things just to be a little bit more positive feedback instead of just critiques. They may find a way to reword things, and so it's not going to be like, I didn't like this because X. That's going to go straight to the host.
Yeah,
it's going to be, I didn't like this because X, and they say, you may want to work on this. So yeah, don't be afraid to put whatever you feel like you need to put.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then the last one's just have fun. It's awesome being a host judge.
Cool.
You get to see a lot of hosts grow, essentially, especially if you do it for multiple events, where you see a host who maybe, like we said, didn't quite meet the recommendation that we need for an event. they get their feedback, they improve, they come back again. You recognize them from a previous, if you recognize the name once you learn what the name is, from a previous event. And now they're a host. And it's so cool to see someone on the host stage for the first time that you were judging and say, they did a great job in the host auditions. I can see now that they definitely deserve to be up there. They're just doing such an amazing job up there. And it's just such a cool feeling. The host judge community that we have is fantastic.
They're so memey. It's really fun. Y'all like got really into Red Bull. Host judges were taking pictures of Red Bulls that they saw in the wild and putting them in the server. It was just really fun. Like it was a nice community.
Yeah.
Look at that mango.
Look at that mango.
Yeah, there's going to be a lot of donations. You will hear a lot of times in auditions because the host auditions all have the same donations to pull from.
Dire Dachshund.
Dire Dachshund comes through a lot.
Yeah.
String cheese. How much string
String
cheese
cheese
has the one donator eaten at this point?
Anyway,
Yeah. There's a lot of in jokes that you will be able to meme about in talking to your fellow host judges. I mean, we had a few people who've done host judging before. Who knows what I'm talking about with the string cheese and Dire Dachshund? Yeah. Exactly. So it is fun.
This is fine.
I'm out of Death Defiances.
It's fine.
It's fine. Yeah. So, yeah, if you liked what you heard, we would love to consider you to be a host judge, and you could have a big impact on
Absolutely.
on GDQ. So,
One last time before we.
Did you just say it again?
I did. See. Didn't even notice. I saw Phoenix poke out and look over it.
every time you say absolutely,
We need like a swear jar for.
Yeah.
We need an absolutely jar.
For sure.
But yeah, that's all we have. We do want to open up for Q&A. If
Yeah,
any of you have anything you want to ask,
We've got like a couple minutes, right?
yeah, there's a mic I believe over there. If
All right. Well, they snooze, they lose.
yeah.
Okay, great.
So if anyone has any questions, please.
Yeah. Yeah.
Terribly sorry. Took me a second to not have a complete brain fart as I
No,
got
you're
onto the
fine.
mic. You'd think having auditioned multiple times I'd be better at that. Starting over. So, obviously we've been talking a lot about what makes a good host judge, but sometimes the application process can seem a little, okay, I'm flipping a coin into the void. Do you have any advice for people who might want to apply about how to make their application more attractive, more likely to get them a shot?
Yeah, absolutely.
Now you're just doing it to torture me.
Oh my gosh, I'm gonna get a rubber band and snap it. So the question is about how to make your application stand out. So actually, this cycle was the first time that we had to reject host judges in a larger group, which is an amazing problem to have, but terrible. So I think we had over 90 people audition or apply to be host judges, and we took between 60 and 70, and that was really tough because you are writing in your application, you're writing about what makes a good host. And you don't have to write something incredibly long, but your ability to articulate what you are thinking is really good. Like if we're able to sort of imagine that we are in a conversation with you as a host judge, just from a little bit about what you write, that's very, very helpful. I can't necessarily say that there's buzzwords that you should use or key thoughts that we're really going to tune into, but if you are just using an authentic voice, or you convey something about yourself that's a little bit different. So for example, we did have a couple of host judges say, English is not my first language, and but I listen to GDQ every year. We're like, oh yeah, listen, we might want some of that, And so if there's something a little bit different about your perspective based on who you are, where you come from, that's also very helpful. Yeah, good question.
Any other questions? All right, awesome. Well, thank you all so much for coming. We really appreciate it, and we hope you all learned a little bit more about host judging in the process. And if you do have any questions, if you think of something later, I know I always think of something like 20 minutes after something's ended. Please feel free to find any of the three of us, and we'd be happy to answer anything you have. So,
Sure.
Thank you all so much. Appreciate it. Enjoy the rest of GDQ. We'll see you all soon.
Make good
Thank you.
choices.
Thank you.
Yay.
Hey.